Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. My name is Roderick.
I'm Grampus.
And I'm still just Missy.
And unless you haven't guessed, we are here to talk about Fall of the House of Usher. So this will be a
Usher. Sorry, I had to.
Usher. This will be a full spoiler episode. Here's the if you haven't seen it, we'll give you a warning about the spoilers. Fucking watch it. Okay, now spoilers. There's nothing else to say. Like, let me be the testimonial for the group because you two were sold right away. I started it last Friday. I had a stressful day. I'm blaming my day. I was just not in a good mood. And I watched the first two episodes. I'm like, nah. I think I text Missy, not for me. It's good. It's well made, but I don't give a shit. Fuck this. Whatever. I did have some issues. We'll get to that. But I watched 3 and 4 the next day. Well, I found the next day I thought about it a lot. I watched 3 and 4, and then I stopped. And then the next day, Kirsten I was in like another room and I heard her start because it opens with Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall. And I heard it. I'm like, oh, she's finally starting it because I watched the first 4 without her. So I watched the first 4 over again, and then I was in. And I'm like, I don't even know what I still have little grievances, but I'm like, I don't know what my problem was. This is fucking masterful. And I will just say, I happened across something I wrote on my blog at SeanCBaker.com from 2018 the other day, and it was me talking about The Haunting of Hill House and how Flanagan in an interview when that came out suggested people watch episodes 1 through 4 and then watch episodes 1 through 4 again and then watch the rest. And it's what I inadvertently did with this show. And it made all the fucking difference in the world. Not everyone's going to do that. If you can, I strongly suggest that you do. It really worked wonders. And you just see things a different way going into the last half. So, guys, I'm going to shut the fuck up. Talk to me about the Fall of House Usher. Full spoiler. You can talk about, we're going to get to our favorite deaths. We'll get to grievances or whatever, but just fucking talk about it.
I don't know where to start. I felt initially like the first episode was a lot of information coming at me. So it was kind of taken aback by it. Yeah, but once that first episode was over, I was sold. I was like, okay, let's keep going. Let's see.
What was it about the end of the first episode that where you were like, now I'm in? Was that your all in point? Or like, I know Missy said it was the end of her. I think you said your all in was the end of the second episode, right?
Correct.
I think it was the whole, at first seeing the jester in the church, and I questioned my sight. I was like, is that what I think it is? I was like, because I was kind of tired, like, okay. And then when they show him again in the limo, I was like, yep, scared the fuck out of me. Let's go. Come on, Flanagan. But initially that first episode is a lot. It's like watching fucking the first episode of Game of Thrones. You're just like overwhelmed, all of this stuff coming at you, and then trying to figure out how Flanagan's going to play it out. And then I saw, okay, this is what he's going to do. Let's do this.
Did you feel that it was mapped in a similar fashion to the other shows that he's done for Netflix?
Kinda, like with Hill House, what I liked about Hill House is it showed what the character thought he saw or they saw as a child, and then what they really saw.
Mhm.
And I dig that, because to me there's always his side, her side, the truth, and getting that mix. And then so this again, it's Roderick telling his story and then going back, and also at the same time seeing how this whole chain of events started, which I dig. I like Flanagan kind of doing that. Kind of, I'm confused at first, and then like, let's unravel this.
Yeah.
Let's go on this journey together. Like, let's, yeah, come on, let's do it, Flanagan.
That's definitely one of the things I had to remind myself. I had issues. The Jester to me in the first episode or whenever it was in the limo just seemed like the most ridiculous jump scare. Like it just seemed like, like
Like
the way,
forced.
well, no, you know what it reminded me of? Like the way Rob Zombie will put clowns in for like, like Three from Hell. I feel like there's a whole thing where it's like, why is there a clown here? Like just because Rob Zombie has to have a fucking
Because I
clown.
like it.
But
Yeah.
so it felt like that. But then what I reminded myself later was like, okay, you had the same issue with Oculus where you jumped the gun and thought he plays a long game.
He
So
does.
he gives you shit, then you see it, you have absolutely no context for it. You'll get that later, which goes back to the watch the first four twice, then move on. Because you start to understand the context of what you're seeing, and you have no map at all at first. Because I actually really like that. Like you're there, like he doesn't lay it all out and hold your hand. You know what I mean? Like he gives it to you eventually, right, but you have to kind of like wade through the deep waters first. Missy, would you agree with that? Would you say, I don't know, like talk about your experience getting into this?
Okay. First though, the Jester, while he is out of context, he is part of Poe's story. So he's part of the cask of Amontillado.
Right. But
so
that,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just like they added a clown just because.
No, but it's at first I was just like, oh, I hope this isn't just going to be like, oh, and we have
it's a cheap shot.
We almost forgot the Jester in the limo. There you go. Cool. Done. Check. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
Those movies
Quota
like
on the jump scare.
Like that Pet Cemetery from a couple of years ago, where I feel like there was a list of what makes Pet Cemetery, and we just need to check the boxes. It doesn't matter how you get it in there, just get it in there, right? Like that's sloppy shit. Not to pick on that movie, I still think there might be, even though I hate it, I think there's probably a director's cut out there that is better, but we'll maybe never see. Anyway, whatever. So but thank you for bringing that back, because Casa Amontillado is, however the fuck you say that, is my favorite Poe story. And
me too.
I love the way they did it. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'd been wanting to see this. I was just waiting until October ended because 31 Days of Halloween.
Yeah.
So on November 1st, I started watching this and watched it in 2 days. I mean, I love Flanagan. He is, in my opinion, one of the best current horror directors out there.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
even his stuff that, like, the one or two things I would rank at the bottom of like his totem pole, even those are still pretty good. Like he's never done anything that I've watched him been like, nope, I hate this.
Right.
So I mean, I was confident that I'd get into it. The first episode, I agree, is a little bit off-putting because you're trying to figure out where you stand. You don't really know what you're looking at yet. But then once we got into the second episode, my all-in moment was absolutely at the very end when it rains.
It's raining. Man, that was so cool. That was
so cool.
It like harkened back to like all my favorite 80s, early 90s body horror. Just like Society, all those bodies.
Yes.
Melding into each other.
And the sound. Like that's what gives you the, like, it was totally setting off my ick factor, just that squelching, wet, sticky sound.
So I was reading too about this because obviously the cast has been, what I love about Flanagan is his use of the same actors, and they're
Yeah.
all great actors too. It's not, reusing your mediocre wife, zombie, but all the time.
She has her moments.
She does. I'm just fucking
No,
with
I
you.
know. I believe me. I know.
But a thing I came across was Roderick, who's played by Bruce Greenwood.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, love him.
Yeah, he's great.
It originally was going to be Frank Langella.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah. So apparently he got fired for whatever. I guess he was an asshole. But what do you guys think? I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like Langella, if he would have played it, would you have liked it more? I don't know. What do you think?
what was he in? I recognize the name, but
I go
can't quite place.
immediately to, even though he's got like decades of movies before it, Richard Kelly's The Box.
Okay,
Oh,
He's the
who
I
was he in
go
that?
he's the
I
guy
go
with
to
the
Oh,
Ninth Gate.
box.
oh, okay,
I go immediately to Ninth Gate.
okay. I think that
Um,
would have been a really wrong vibe. Like,
Well, I agree. I mean, there's no way to not be biased now. I loved
me
everybody's
too.
performance. But
But I
like
feel like,
he was Greenwood. He was absolutely fucking perfect.
hmm but Greenwood has a debonair quality where
Yeah.
Langella it would come off much more sinister. Like, you'd be absolutely convinced this man killed everybody in his family. Like, I think way dark.
It might have given it a different dynamic, but I mean that is interesting though. It was so funny because before I started the first episode, I rewatched Whiplash. I hadn't seen it in a couple of years. Love that
I
fucking
just
movie.
watched that for the first time.
Oh,
Sorry,
it's oh,
I
it's so
just
good.
watched it.
It's so good. But
I,
J.K. Simmons, his voice is very distinct, right?
mm-hmm.
If you put if you could take a soundbite from him and a soundbite from Bruce Greenwood, they're very similar voices. Very, very similar. So it was a weird dynamic. I don't know if that also played into like, you know, my disillusionment that first night. I I mean, I also felt like, okay, in Hill House, there's that, like, I remember for years everyone's like best jump scare ever in the car with the one sister,
Hmm
right? And it was. They do that repeatedly in this. And even still now, like rewatching this, right? So I rewatched 5 and 6 with Kirsten last night. There's a jump scare in both of those I don't give a shit about. I'm just like, at this point, you're just detracting, like, just knock it off. I don't know. They occur when he's Roderick and uh what's his god damn it, what's his nuts? August Dupin are speaking in the home. Yeah, I feel like every episode that deals with one of the kids has one. And
It does.
it just, I don't know. So that's kind of the thing where I was asking Tori about like the mapping. I feel like I feel like he has the same formula for Hill House and Bly, and I liked both. Midnight Mass,
I love Midnight Mass.
So do I.
I just have issues with it. Like, I think it's very good, but I just don't like the main character. Can't stand that. There's whatever. And then Midnight Club, I've only seen like 2 episodes of. So, and I have no opinion either way. I like it enough that I'll go back and rewatch those first 2 episodes now and then finish it. But I do feel like Usher is mapped very similarly to Hill House and Bly, with, there's like, you're seeing things you don't know are there, right? Or the jump scares or whatnot. So there's a predictability, and I hope that he kind of shakes things up again. And I think he will. Like, I think he did for Midnight Mass and for Midnight Club. So I definitely don't think he's a one-trick pony. I think, like Missy said, I think Flanagan's one of the best, most accomplished horror directors easily today.
But see, those jump scares like didn't bother me because I saw it as like, and if you watch the episodes, those jump scares, especially with the children, they ramp up. So to me, it
Yeah.
makes sense. It starts out very subtle with his mother, which that is fucking scary. Like the whole mother episode, dug that. It's very subtle. It goes to Prospero, which scared the fuck out of me. Like it worked when he was behind Dupont.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it didn't bother me as much because I didn't feel like they were using the jump scare as like a crutch or like
They
a lot
don't.
of
They
like
don't. I agree.
modern day horror like just throws it in there. I feel like as a filler to
Yeah,
say
he
fuck
uses
it.
all the tools in the toolbox, and that's one of them. So I agree with you
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
Me too.
but it didn't seem like just overdone or like he was patting my head like okay here's your jump scare, here you go.
Missy?
Yeah, I think this is probably the series of his that plays out in the same rhythm of Hill House.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the first time I finished watching Usher, like it was midday on a day off, and I'm like, well, I still need to watch something, and I went right into Hill House,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and it worked for me. And of all the series he's done, Usher is the most horror, right alongside with Hill House, where the other ones seem to be a little bit like less somber, I guess,
Okay.
like less bleak. Maybe that's a better word.
Okay.
Because Usher is like bleak as fuck. It's
It is.
great,
It is.
but I mean, the first episode, he pretty much tells you everybody's gonna die. Right off the bat, this going in. All of these people are going to die.
Well, you know what was nice though? It wasn't just they even take it a step further because they tell you like all the children are dead, right? When they kill the
Mm-hmm.
granddaughter, I was like, ooh, whoa,
Yeah, that
whoa.
one hurt a little bit. I
It
really liked
did.
Lenore.
Child death.
It did,
Oh
But it had
man.
nothing to do with even child death, because half the time I'm the one sitting there chanting, "Let the zombie eat the baby."
yeah,
But this wasn't like that. It's just all of these people are like, they're
scum.
all awful. You hate them. You
Mm-hmm.
can't stand any of these people. The only ones that you are, get really attached to are Lenore and Annabelle Lee,
Yeah,
who are, and then Lenore is um the same actress that was Abra in Doctor Sleep,
yeah.
one of my
Mm-hmm.
favorite movies. So I already, really like her. I can't remember her name. It's Kylie something, I think.
Kylie Karan or
Okay,
Kieran. I don't know. I'm not
like
very
that.
good at pronunciation, but
But I mean, she just Lenore is she's sweet. She's honest. She stands up for what she believes in. She's the one person you're rooting for, and then it's like, oh shit, she did say that the bloodline has to end. Like, I think I caught it a minute before it happened.
well, because they don't actually introduce that idea until that episode, I think. So you
Is it?
don't
I thought it
know.
was earlier because I thought she said it when we see it in the bar.
You do, but they don't actually give you that bar scene. They give you bits of it, but you don't get the actual scene where they like make the deal until like the seventh or eighth episode. And it's right before,
Okay.
so you know by the time you know all along the children are all going to die, but you don't realize that like, oh, the bloodline is explicitly stated when
Mhm.
they make the bargain.
And they didn't give a fuck.
No, and so okay, so
We should explain it, huh?
well, no, but I want to say, so I want to talk about this. Tori, you text me an interesting idea. So Carla, do you know how to say her last name? Gugino?
Gugino.
Gugino. Okay.
Carla, beautiful. I would take care of you for life. I'm
So
sorry. As Verna,
Verna, which I didn't catch the whole fucking show.
and
So
it's an anagram for
Raven. So I actually,
That's why I kept asking you if you figured out who she was.
so after the third and fourth episode, I got I have an old Signet Classic copy of like House of Usher where I read it in high school, and it's got other stories in it. But you can go on Kindle right now for the listeners, and for like $1 buy any number of complete works of Edgar Allan Poe. And then I wanted on Kindle specifically so I could highlight or search for stuff, right? So I read Usher and I read Mask of the Red Death. And then I started Murders in the Rue Morgue. The beginning of it just hurts my fucking brain. But I searched for Verna and I found, I don't know the context. There is a god referenced, I believe, in Murders of the Rue Morgue that's like Laverna or something. So I'm like, oh, is that what this is? So then I'm like putting the cart before the horse and like Googling like gods, Laverna, blah, 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 nothing, whatever. And then, so she's the raven, but that still doesn't really explain why a raven has the ability to offer people a deal. And here's what I love. I was thinking the whole time, okay, so they sold their souls for success. It's fine. It's the good mechanic for what we're seeing, but it's kind of boring. And then I love the fucking fact that she actually says to them, "Your souls? No, there's no such thing. That's boring." Like or however she said it. But I love the fact that they basically, I felt like Flanagan looked at me through the camera and was like, "Settle down, dickhead. Stop jumping the gun."
Yeah.
So
just listen.
Tori, you had an interesting interpretation for Verna. Would you like to share that with the class?
Yes. So my theory is Verna is the Morrigan. She's so if nobody knows what that is, a Celtic goddess, and she's associated with crows. I was like, okay, raven crow, that's close enough, you know.
Irish Scottish, it's the same
come
thing.
on, yeah, come on. You're all in that big island. Come on. So, I'm a lot smarter than this, folks, I promise. But and she's the bringer of doom and also of your fate. And if you remember, like Verna, the whole time gave everybody an option to kind of redeem themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I was like, oh, I think this might be her. I forget what else the Morrigan brings, but I don't know, just like a couple of things, and it just kind of made sense to me that that's what she is this Celtic goddess. And then the other thing too, Mike Flanagan's Irish name, it's Irish goddess.
So, and that's really interesting because also there's so much Egyptian shit in this. So I was looking for like, there's a lot of and there's gods in this religion that are the same god. So like, it has this name here, but it's essentially the same god. I feel like there is definitely some equivalent. There's something I'm missing. You know what I mean? Like there can't be all this Egyptian shit in this show and there not be some tie. There has to be something.
I just thought it was more of Madeline's ego, just showing how big her ego is, and that's what her goal is. It's to be immortal. That's why she looked up to the Egyptians so much and just what they were doing. I don't know.
It's yes, I think you're definitely onto something there. Nephthys, I don't know how to say this. Nephthys, the goddess of dead and overseer of funerary rites, is often depicted with a crow or a raven as one of her symbols. So that's the Egyptian. I just literally Googled the Egyptian god ravens, and that's what I got. So somebody that's more versed will know more. So it's reading to do. But I just think that it is interesting that at first I thought that the character was Death, and Missy's like, it's not Death, it's something cooler. And I was like, ooh. Then I thought it was the devil, and I'm like, nah, it's not the devil. And then again, totally not getting the fact that like, yeah, Verna's an anagram for Raven, dickhead.
I think it's cool that you guys brought up Celtic mythology and the Egyptian stuff, because I was interpreting her as not just a raven, but the raven, like the trickster god. I think that's why when every single member of the family meets her, she appears differently because they see her as like she's leading them into their story, and
Oh,
every single person who sees her, she's a different woman.
mind blown.
So I took her as like the native trickster goddess. And the very, very first image we see when Usher starts is the raven. And then we also get a flash of Verna's face. And then throughout the show, we'll see that raven flash.
I think you're 100% correct because the trickster would appear. Talk about a fucking versatile actress. Jesus Christ. Like when she's the security guard for Camille when she goes into
Mm-hmm.
I'm like I know that's her, but I don't know that it's her. Like I was literally looking at her and I'm like, is that her? Is that the same actress? Or when she's the patient, you know the doctor?
Right.
Like she is so fucking good. She's like her body seems to change. Like she looks, and you could do some of that with costuming, but her mannerisms and her posture and stuff changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like just unbelievable performance across the board. Every episode so versatile. Um, man, he has. I like Tori said, one of the I love. I think because Lynch is probably like the first director that I really like identified with loving, and I love he people he uses over and over again, right? And Flanagan does that, and he some of the people like I don't even realize I've seen him before, like
Mm-hmm.
Annabelle Lee, I believe, is the lead in Absentia, which was the first movie I saw by him.
Yeah,
Um,
she's in
Is
Absentia,
she
and then
really? Oh shit.
she's the sister in Bly.
See, I didn't remember that at all. There's
Yeah,
certain ones.
she's the sister when they do the flashback. The one that was
Um,
killed.
God, it's been a
Okay.
while.
You guys realize who Griswold is, right?
Um,
He's from Battlestar.
Grizz, the guy that played Grizz is the husband, the neighbor in Hush that was stabbed.
Oh, yeah.
oh,
Forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
I know
um,
him as being from Battlestar Galactica.
I've still never seen that, much to Ray's chagrin. One of these
I love
days.
that show.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Mary McDonald, who I'm like, how do I know this woman? Donnie Darko's mom, right? Like, I didn't know she was in
Right.
Battlestar. She's
And I can't hear her and not know, Madam President Laura Roslin.
I've so the new season of Creep Show that came out like a month ago. I've only watched one episode, but the first, they're all 30, 40 minutes and they're two episodes within an episode, two stories within an episode. The first episode of season 4 Creep Show, the first half of it, it's Tamerlane, who's Samantha Sloyan, and Ruth Codd, who is Juno. Give me your two MVP performances. I'm just tell you right now, Henry Thomas blew me the fuck away. I guarantee you he used Crispin Glover as an influence because the scene where he's bowling, like where the daughter's questioning him about the specialist and he's bowling, there's just certain things he does or says I'm like Crispin Glover totally. And then for me the second one, and I recognize him right away, but I'm like, no, like it was one of those where I'm like, no fucking way, give me my phone. Mark fucking Hamill.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. He won for the ages. One for the ages. So, Missy, MVPs, two MVPs.
Mary McDonald um, as adult Madeline. And honestly, I think I can't think of her name. It's Willa something. the one who played young Madeline. She's also from Scream. She's Emma from Scream, the TV series.
Okay, okay.
And she was outstanding.
Yeah, she was good. Tori?
It's hard to pick only two, but
It is. That's why, I mean, everybody in it's awesome. So that's why I just did two. Tori, 2 MVPs.
For sure, Bruce Greenwood. And all I have to say is the fucking lemonade speech is all you need.
oh my God. That was great.
I'm going to make out with that man. I think I had my mouth like wide open that whole thing, just like in awe of like, holy shit, this guy is despicable. And I love it. I love it so much. Oh God, second. I don't know. I really love the actress that plays Victorine.
Yeah.
This she wasn't in this one so much, but I still love her because she, even in that episode, her episode, you feel almost kind of bad for her still, even though she's kind of a piece of shit. You feel bad that she's just snapped, even though she killed her lover and then she dies. I don't know. There's something about her that just comes off as very empathetic.
Yes, I feel like she's one of the more altruistic, and as fucked up, like, because the children, like, some of them are just straight up just shit, right? But and then some of them are like shit by just being uninvolved, and then I feel like Victorine, and even I want to say a little bit, even though she's fucked up, Tamerlane, like, Victorine more than the rest of them, as far as the kids go. Not, obviously Lenore is, the best person among them, but I mean, not even just the best person. She's just a good person. None of them are good people, right? But Victorine definitely, she has this altruistic motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that turns her to shit is the fact that she's got pressure from her father to get this thing done, right? So she's doing, I mean, and the beauty of the way that they've written this is like, there is some black and white, but there's also a lot of gray, and that's the way the world is, right? So there are people out there that are in positions like this that do make shitty fucking awful choices that hurt other people, but they do it in their head for the right reason, but because they're, whether it's pressure from whatever, like, okay, I have to, well, okay, so perfect example, actually, in this show, another great performance, Carl Lumbly, who plays August Dupin. And this is funny. So you spend the first couple episodes, who's the mole or the informant, right? Mole's the wrong word. And Kirsten always impresses me. She's right away, she's like, within 2 episodes, she's like, it's Lenore. I'm like, oh, I hadn't even thought of that. She's like, it's totally Lenore. I'm like, oh my God. So then when they get to the one where he's like, there was no informant. And then the whole conversation where Roderick's like, oh, now this would have been great to see you shit. And your principal's like, hey, fuck you. You get to play dirty all the time. I do it your way once. And it wasn't even that terrible, right? Like I mean, he didn't. I feel like that is like a very lesser sin where we're talking about, in this show, but that's a great example of like somebody that, like, in order to get to the greater good, they did something that went against their principles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely think Victorine is probably the one of the, I mean, because, well, here, and Tori, what did you tell me about the 7 deadly sins?
Oh, supposedly I think it's every episode, but obviously the first. I could have that wrong. It's supposed to be a representative of a seven deadly sins.
So then each child represents one of the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah, correct. So I didn't figure out all of them yet.
Well, so like Tamerlane is easy because also you said there's a color for every episode, right? Tamerlane's color is green with envy, right? So she's, I mean, obviously she envy. She like pays a prostitute to fuck her husband in front of her because she envies having a real life.
Well, she envies too not having her father's attention.
Yeah.
her dad gives attention to Froderick, and she's like, Froderick's fucking lame. I'm the one who's doing all this. Nobody. So yeah, she's Envy. I said, what's her name? Murders in the Rue Morgue. She's Wrath because she's how angry she is.
Oh, Camille.
Camille. Prospero is obviously Lust.
Yeah. Oh, you nailed Froderick. He's sloth, right? I mean, obviously he doesn't do anything
Yeah.
but coke and bowl. Well, he could live in Hickory Hills. It sounds like Hickory Hills. Do some coke and go
Aw.
bowling.
What a Midwest like combo.
That's all right.
But even like, I don't know, Tamerlane, I felt like in her episode she was starting to see the error of her ways. And Froderick, like I liked Froderick until he snaps.
Well, it's funny. He's
And you're
like he's like the least egregious, but he's just like a non-entity, right? But then like the coke really brings it out of him.
yeah, and he just kind of goes for it. And you're just like, no, I had hope for you. Like, yeah, you're spineless, but come on, come on. It's yeah, but again, I like what you're saying. How like in life, it's black, white, and then there's the gray, and they do kind of hit on it. So, because it would have been easier for him to make these people very despicable.
Yeah.
Oh, so you just don't like them, but then to have all the nuances and all that. I don't know. It makes it more believable to me.
I agree. Missy, what do you think about the seven deadly sins? You think that sounds like it works?
It really does, and it kind of blows my mind. I didn't pick up on that, but that would explain too why it flows so well with Hill House, because Hill House, each kid is the 5 stages of grief.
Is of grief.
Oh.
But I didn't catch the deadly sin thing, and I think Tori's right on. I also didn't catch the themed color thing, so I'll have to go back and check that out because that's fucking awesome, and I did not catch that.
It's not
Yeah,
as
so,
obvious in every episode.
Okay.
Right. Tamerlane's is really obvious. Prospero's is obvious. Camille, I don't know. I feel like Camille's was kind of, to me, Camille is blue. Or like the shades of blue.
Okay.
I keep thinking of Camille as white just because I keep thinking of that
See,
image
that's
of her.
what I thought too.
That's
white.
funny. I put blue white, but she could be more white. Victorine, to me, it was, I don't remember because I didn't do the second watch, but I thought it was more yellow.
I was gonna
She's
say
more
gold
like-
off the top of my head.
Yeah, like gold pop, like yellow poppy. And Leo, I don't remember. I think Leo was more like black or brown.
Leo's Xbox Gatsby, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't even know that character's name the whole fucking time. I just kept thinking of his Xbox Gatsby.
Aww.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I love the fucking scene where he's like, I could get Hemsworth to give me another fucking hammer. He starts taking I thought that was amazing.
His whole episode is amazing.
Rahul
That was the
Kohli.
black cat.
Yeah.
Rahul
Oh.
Kohli is the shit.
Okay, I don't know him, I don't think.
I just remembered him from Hill House. Or not Hill House, Bly. He was the cook.
He's in Bly and
Oh.
he's in Midnight Mass. He's
The sheriff.
Sharif.
Yes.
Sharif,
Oh
yeah.
shit.
That's
You're right.
That's
Sharif.
right.
Okay.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought his episode was great. And the fact that she turns into the cat that reinforced my thought that Verna is actually like Raven as a trickster god.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't only appear as people, she appears as a chimpanzee,
Yep.
the cat, which I thought was really fucking cool. But as far as like all of the kids being completely unlikable, I mean, I thought Leo was not so bad.
Yeah, he wasn't so bad. I mean,
you kind of felt for him. I mean, he was
Yeah.
still not a great guy, but he was better than the other one.
he was absolutely 100%. He was probably the least unlikable.
But that scene with Thor's, I mean, he's completely out of his mind, tearing his apartment apart with Thor's fucking hammer,
Oh, it was so good.
the walls down, looking for an invisible cat that no one else can see.
Favorite kill, Tori.
Oh, Prospero. Imagine that, just melting acid rain on like 100 bodies in an orgy. Like it's a beautiful thing, man.
That one I will say is probably the closest. Like that's so close to the story of the Mask of the Red Death. It's just
Mhm.
it's very like it's I don't
The
it's
the
very
rooms.
yeah, and just very spot on, very spot on. Missy, favorite death.
Tamerlan impaled by giant fucking mirror
I gotta say,
multiple times.
I think that was mine too. I mean, just the way it's shot is just like
It's beautiful.
when it's slow
It is.
motion and like as she go, oh God, it just all the camera angles, like everything. It was, when you see she falls, there's a shard of glass that hits the bed first, and then she falls on it and it impales her, and then the one comes down in her fucking throat, and then the slow motion, snaps out of it. And then I love the way, I also love each episode the way you get your death and you get like a beat and then boom, Fall of the House Usher, the big title.
I love that big title that flashes at you in white. Like, I don't know, there's something so like impactful
Yeah,
about it. And it's such a simple thing.
I'd have to agree with the Tamara, but the Prospero's fucking great, and Froderick. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, those to me. I mean, like Leo's death isn't everything leading up to it's great, but he kept fucking falls over a fucking railing and whatever.
Yeah, and anybody can do that.
Victorine's was. I didn't love the way that episode like worked itself out.
Yeah, no, yeah, I see what you mean. I'll tell you one thing about the first episode that did bug me. Wall to wall music.
Was it?
If there is, yeah, for a big majority of it, well, except for when Dupont there, I think there was just so much like either it was music or a score in the background, and sometimes I need a break. Yeah.
I mean, well, Netflix is really
Okay.
that's funny. I was just thinking about this in terms of Netflix today because I saw like a headline on Bloody Disgusting or something where there's like another, like it was like update on Fear Street movie or something, because I guess there's going to be another iteration of Fear Street, and I really liked Fear Street, but that first episode, it's like I feel like Netflix does this in their first episode of things. It's like wall to wall needle drops. It's just because I remember that first episode of Fear Street, I was like, Jesus Christ, the white zombie just ended a second ago, and something else kicked out. It's like,
Oh,
take it
God,
easy,
yeah.
you know.
It was like, we get it. You're trying to do a 90s movie,
Yeah,
okay? I get it.
I feel like
If the fucking fanny pack didn't tell me, the goddamn 20 Nirvana songs did.
well, or like somebody runs into the writer's room and they're like, guys, get this. We can license a bunch of separate music, or I just bought a now that's what I call 90s CD, and we can get it all for $5. There
What
you
did it
go.
say?
30
It's like a
tracks.
Chumbawamba. Come on. You remember Tub Thumper? Let's put it in.
Now that's what I call 90s. But I did the Pink Floyd was very I remember being intrigued that it began with that Pink Floyd song because I really like that song, but it's a very interesting, New Year's Eve 1979. That's perfect because it's Pink Floyd doing disco essentially. There's people that probably stab me for saying that, but it's 100% Pink. Roger Waters going, oh, that's what they're doing. Well, we'll just do our own version of that because it's a disco beat and bass line 100%, but it's a fucking amazing song. And it's just very indicative, I think, historically of the 70s becoming the 80s. So I feel like that was a well-earned. I don't remember any other needle drop in that episode.
I don't even think it was necessarily songs, but they were always playing like the
Score.
score in the background. Yeah. So that it's, even if it's just a score, I just want to break, sometime, or I just want to hear the flow of the dialogue and let me come on, stop.
That's very 90s where, that's like my thing with like Silence of the Lambs or like the X-Files where it's like, I got it. I get it. We're being covert now. Oh, now we're gonna be boisterous. Oh, now it's suspicion. Like the music cues every fucking emotion, right? It's like, I get it. Let your actors work. I get it.
Yeah. Do I gotta cry now?
Yeah. Oh, well,
gonna
not
cue the
until the
cry
music
music?
tells me to.
Um, the whole ending though, it rings so true to me about just life in general. The only person to get in trouble for everything is the fucking the low man on the totem pole,
Yeah, it's
Arthur
true.
Penn.
True, but I love that she offered him,
And
and
I love that he was like, I
ah,
know who
I'll
the
take
fuck
my
you are.
chances. Yep,
Yep.
I'll take
He's
my
like, I'm not
chances.
in
I loved his voice. Oh,
Yeah,
I
he was awesome.
love
the Pim Reaper.
yeah, the Pim,
The Pim Reaper.
the scene with him and August in the judge's quarters before the judge comes in on his lunch break, and he's like, "Can I ask you something?" You know, forget what he asked him, and then he's like, "Yeah, the Pim Reaper. I think I see it now. Too bad we don't have a beach and a chessboard." And he goes, "Love Bergman." Because
Yeah.
for like the seventh line, like I felt like they were about to have a conversation, and then the judge comes in, like, "Oh no, I want to hear him talk about Ingmar Bergman."
Yeah, I thought a seventh sign, and then I thought of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Something I thought was interesting is that all of the kids, like all of them, have intimacy issues. Not a single one of them has a good partnership with any of their partners. I mean, or and a few of them just have like some really bizarre practices. Like, I mean, Camille has her assistants, and Tamerlan has the she has the prostitute come and dress up like her and play like house with her husband while she watches.
Yeah,
Well, you know why though, right?
why?
The
Not really.
bastards,
I mean, I
the
know what she was doing,
bastards,
but
the bastards didn't grow up with their dad, so they had daddy issues. Automatically, you're gonna have trauma, intimacy, etc. The two kids, when their parents divorced, you know what he said? He said, yeah, they kept seeing their mom less. We don't know exactly what happened to mom, but we can guess by the fucking gunshot wound she killed herself.
mhm.
So I think that's why the kids are all fucked up. Look at who their parents were. Look what happened to them. Yeah, I mean, they even before. Well, no, the deal got made kind of early, but they didn't have a fucking chance in hell for any.
Well, also, that's a very good point. And also, really, the revelation. So you meet August and Roderick, and they're obviously enemies, right?
Mhm.
And then as you develop, or you learn, their relationship develops. And then with the flashbacks, you see they're working together, and you're like, well, wait a minute. So, and then when you get to the fucking betrayal in the courtroom,
Oof,
Mhm.
that hurt.
holy fuck. And then
Yeah, that did
also,
hurt.
because like he doesn't seem like that guy at all, Roderick. He doesn't seem like that guy. So when he makes that fucking move, and then basically, like, you know, I mean, Annabelle is crushed because she's like, you're not even you are not the person that I thought you were. Like, can you imagine? Like, it's really easy to see fictionalizations of stuff like this and be like, oh, that's fucked up or whatever. But like, imagine that you stopped recording, walked into the next room, and found out something so unbelievable about the person that you're with that it shook your faith in the fucking world. Like, that's what fucking happened. And then on top of it, then he basically steals her children with money, right? He says, I
Yeah,
just
Mhm.
gave money. She couldn't compete with it. That is fucking fucked up. Like on a
just
level
that
that
kind of manipulation and yeah.
it's fucked up.
But it really the whole series comes down to choices though. It's up to you. You can be dealt with the shitty hand. Are you gonna, perpetuate that kind of thing in the world, or are you gonna change it? You're gonna be the one to to change it all up for yourself. Choosing your fate. Because Verna gives everybody a chance.
She does. And nobody ever takes it.
They can. I don't think they can get out of it.
They can't get out of it, but they have the chance to. They had the chance to either do something great with their wealth,
Yeah,
or even like with their deaths. She tells him like, I could have had you die in your sleep.
yeah.
But them trying to fight their fate and escape it obviously ends disastrously for all of them.
Well, and she always seems to give them an option to do like the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
and none of them take it. But I do like that she also comes back, and like in the Prospero episode, all the staff got out because
Yeah.
she warned them.
She warns the wife too.
And she warns the
Mm-hmm.
wife, who doesn't listen to her, but she gave her an out too. But I mean, they call out in court. All the wait staff, the bartenders, they all left. She gave them an out, but then the kids, like, I don't think they could have gotten out of it, but they might have, like, they might
It
have
would have
bought
been
more time.
easier.
Or it might have been, she might have given them an easy death, maybe.
Well, yeah, because that's what she tells Tamerlane. She's like, just, she says at one point, you could have just gone to sleep. Something like she could have killed her in her sleep,
She
made
says
it
it to
easy for
Camille
herself.
too. She says, "You don't have to be
Oh
here."
yeah, you don't have to be here. But it's everybody's, their pride, their ego that's, no, fuck you, I'm going to do this. And I think, it says a lot about how a lot of people act today with that inflated sense of self or in sense of ego. Good for you, Flanagan.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of social critique, a lot, and not in a way that is egregious or like made me feel like somebody's shoving broccoli down my throat.
Yeah, no after school special.
Yeah.
Oh, and Flanagan's great for writing characters that, like, they all have a lot of depth. I usually have a hard time with stories where all the characters are unlikable, but I cared what happened to these people, even if I hated some of them.
Yes.
And like Tamerlane is like, her performance is fantastic. Her character is awful, but like I still felt really bad for her. And then she gets impaled by the mirror, and that was just fucking awesome. But
Poor Tamerlane. I always think of her in Midnight Mass, and she was just the fucking worst.
oh yeah,
Oh man.
Who was she in Midnight Mass? I don't remember.
The
She's
crazy church lady.
Was she really? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. She's like the fucking most horrible person in that whole show.
Yes.
Including the vampire.
All right, I'd take my chances with the vampire over the crazy church lady. She murdered that poor man's dog.
I don't know. One of the things I didn't like about that show was like the because they had to de-age them at some point. So like the makeup, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. I would like to. I'd like to give it another shot at some point. I don't know if I ever will, but that was definitely the first time I was like, oh man, I don't know. Because before that, it's just like Flanagan could do no wrong.
Oh, I had to watch, I had to give it a second watch to really, really like appreciate Midnight Mass. Like I liked it the first watch, but I really had to go back and be like, oh, okay, I fucking get it. And this is powerful. I don't know, there's a few times I cried watching that show.
Well, it definitely has. It has those moments. Man, I don't know why the main character is there. I love the way the story starts, and I love the idea of like, holy shit! Imagine one bad choice, like, because there's a part where he actually says, I have no prospects, I have no future, I have nothing. Like, my life is gone. I love that. But he just, to me, was detrimental to the entire show. And there is a scene where him and what's her name talk about like what they think about, and it is the most endless like monologue. And
I know
then,
what one you're talking about.
and
I
then
know what you're
when
talking
it
about, too.
ends, then the other person in the scene starts one, and I was like, "Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me?" There's one thing, like, there's stuff with Flanagan where like there's there's always those moments, right? And I feel like that one just needed to be reeled in. There's moments here too. The lemon speech for me gets right up to the line where I was like, we're gonna keep going. Like, it almost becomes Sideshow Bob stepping on rakes, where I'm like,
Oh, okay.
but I know the minute that dude is out of Midnight Mass, it gets like, I was like, oh, now I like it. But there's only an episode left. But I don't know. But I struggled really, really hard with that show. Really hard.
You have to give it another chance and try to be a little more open-minded about Riley, because I think that like
I
his
just hate,
story, it's a redemption story.
but I hate
Because
him. He's just such a whiny little cunt. The whole fucking, I mean, and I understand, like, he's got a lot to whine about. Like, he's
yeah,
in a bad position.
I actually really like his character, because I mean, with all the horrible shit that happens to him, after he gets turned, like he has a choice.
Yeah.
He chooses to help her and not do what they want him to do.
Well, yeah,
And
but
not
that's the end of his arc. That's great. But it's like the beginning of his arc and the end of his arc are great. But everything in the middle, which is most of the show, I'm just like, oh my God, this
it's him
fucking
getting
whiny
there.
bit. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. And then I didn't love the makeup. And also, like, there's elements of it where I just felt like you see it a mile away. Like, oh, it's the same priest. Really? I didn't see that coming. Yes, I did. I don't know. Whatever. I'm being a dick. I'm being a dick because I really wanted to like it, and it just really like it. It was not an easy watch for me at all. And that's the only one of these shows I can say that about. Like, people hated Bly, and I thought Bly was fucking great.
I liked all of them, but
I didn't like Bly the first round. I was like, oh God. It's like another fucking Turn of the Screw remake. Are really again? Yeah, then I watched the second time and I don't know what clicked. Something clicked for me and I was like, okay.
Maybe now that I have Netflix, I'll go through and watch them all.
the only one I really had a hard time with was the Midnight Club, which is not bad, but it's not horror either.
No,
not really.
I really like Ruth Cott's character. She's just I really like her. She's fun. I love the Tamerlane episode where she's losing her shit on stage and she's seeing Verna sitting in the seat behind Juno. So she's, what the fuck are you doing here? And then Juno's like, oh, I was just trying to support you. But the scene where she throws the mic stand and hits her.
Yeah.
No, the best one. Awesome. The best one was when Lenore's like, "How'd you meet my grandpa?" And she's telling the whole story. She's like, "I liked your pill so much, I'll suck ya." Oh. Oh God. She was like, I don't know. There was a lot more comic relief in Usher than I think any other Flanagan.
I don't think it was a lot, but it was. She definitely. But also, I love the moment where Victorina's just died and Tamerlane goes to the house and they have this exchange. And the way that it starts, she's like, I'm sorry. She's like, no. Tamerlane's like, no. And she's like, Juno's like, have you ever been alone in this house? It's very large and cold and there's a lot of stairs. Like, there's just, and she kind of wins Tamerlane over begrudgingly, but it's a really cool scene between the two characters. And I like that these, again, that creep show episode is worth watching. Just they're fantastic together. I don't know, like they should go on the road.
I really like Juno. She was great. Just that little bit of like comic relief in this like dark family horror drama.
Yeah.
She's oh, I forget her name. Never mind. Don't listen.
No, all I know is I was fucking traumatized by I have a thing about teeth and the whole thing with the wife and the
Yeah.
it's like Frederick just he's the one I hate the most, honestly.
Yeah.
That whole thing with
terrible.
the wife and then even she's in the hospital and he's unwrapping her to try and use her fingerprint and her face. And it's like, okay, first of all, you're a fucking moron. She's had all her skin burned off.
Right.
It's not gonna recognize any of that. And
Ugh.
and then that whole, I mean, they didn't show the dental thing, but you hear it and
Yeah.
it made my fucking skin crawl.
Yeah, it was rough.
Just fucking hate teeth.
Oh, so shitty.
Well, he's probably the worst, but God, what a great performance. Like nothing like I've seen Henry Thomas do. Like so just weird. I don't know. I really liked his portrayal of that character. It was again like
He,
I don't know.
he was like the goofy dad cracking jokes and like a loving father, and then all of a sudden just fucking snaps.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
all of that.
he snapped when he found out that his wife was at the orgy.
Which he didn't even know. Well, I mean, obviously she's at an orgy, so I guess there's not really
Well,
any
I mean,
way.
he knows she was at the party because
Yeah.
I mean, they pulled her out of the building. She was melted into the floor.
Yeah.
But it was like Froderick he couldn't like get out his anger toward his father or his brothers, so he took it out on his fucking wife.
Yeah.
That's dying or barely clinging on to life.
Right.
All that, he's just having that misplaced anger.
Yeah, it's just a captive
Right.
fucking, ugh.
Right. And she just had all her fucking skin melted off, and then he's gonna pull all of the teeth out of her head. Like it's just fucked up. And when
Oh
he wasn't
man.
doing awful things, he was the most suck up of all the suck ups too. At least some of the other ones had balls. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I love both Camille and Tamerlan. They were fucking awesome anytime they were on screen. Kate Siegel, she blows me away in like every series she's done. The one or two things he's done where she hasn't been there, I've missed her.
I would say this is probably his best. I mean, it felt like a masterpiece by the end, and I feel like this is him. Like you break up and you're like, this is what you'll be missing. Like as he, as he leaves, like
Oh yeah.
leaves
Leaves
Netflix's office
Netflix.
the last time. Like this was, I'm going, but so he's going to Amazon. So I'm very curious. Obviously, anything he does, I'll see. Like Missy said, even Midnight Mass, like I think is leaps and bounds. But it's like his only competition is himself. So whatever I'm
Mhm.
talking shit about something he's done, it's because I'm comparing it to the other stuff that he's done. So I think it's a great way to leave Netflix and start whatever the next chapter is. And I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely the revenge body.
Yeah.
It's probably like still the most watched thing on. It's been in the top 10 for like the past month.
And it went quick. I don't know. It felt really like a really quick show to me.
And once the deaths start coming, you just can't wait to see who's coming next and in what grotesque and fucked up fashion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh, how are they gonna do it?
Right. How are they gonna die? I mean, that thing with Broderick and that point of view pendulum shot in the wrecking scene was fucking amazing.
It was great. Absolutely great.
He tied all the important Poe
Yeah.
and it made sense.
Yeah.
And it was fun to pick out all of the
Mhm.
references, all the little things.
Have either of you read the Arthur Gordon Pym story? Because I have not.
A long
No.
time ago.
I'm assuming it has to do with the travel around the world. But
It has to do with Pym. So like the Grampus reference, that's the name of the ship in the book.
oh,
And she's
Oh,
like, I'm
okay.
gonna sign it to Grampus. That's what I used to call him. I'm like, that's the fucking ship.
Okay.
Seriously, watching the show, I was like, fuck, I read a lot of Poe. I didn't realize it. Like it all kind of came back to me.
I like how they addressed Cask of Amontillado. I
Yeah.
liked how they did the Mask of the Red Death and the
yeah.
Black Cat. And I like that, like, all the side characters, or at least a lot of them, were characters from other Poe stories, like Lenore or Annabelle Lee or Dupin.
Closing thoughts, Missy. Anything?
Oh, I just wanted to say too, with Dupin, and he kind of plays the ruse and tells them that there's an informant that makes everything snowball. I had a feeling that there wasn't one right from the start,
Interesting.
and I don't remember. I think, I mean, I think it was just like his expression or something just kind of tipped me off that I'm like, nope, there. He wants to see them take each other apart.
Mhm.
I don't think he realized it was going to work
Quite so
as well
well.
as it did, like fucking literally. I think he actually carried guilt that
He
they all
did.
died.
Well, there's that scene where he says that he's like, if I had known for 1 minute, that they would have started dying, I wouldn't have done it. I pointed to your children. That
Right.
that is one thing I will say about the story, this show. So there's a thing with Usher where Poe had a thing called totality, where every single thing in the story means something. There's nothing that doesn't add to the greater whole. That is 100% the show. And I felt like I felt like the moment when Dupin says, I mean, I pointed at them. Such a little detail callback, after 7 episodes or whatever it was. Everything is intent. There's nothing here that is not, so he used Poe's totality. Like I think he does anyway. And I'd be curious if that's like part of Flanagan's modus operandi, and that's why he ended up doing a Poe story or Poe's, oeuvre. But yeah, I don't know. Tori, closing thought.
It is definitely beautiful. It is up there. Hill House will always, have my heart.
Same.
I think don't go in thinking it's going to be as like scary as Hill House. I think a lot of people went in thinking that, and it does have its moments, but it's like a beautiful fucked up family drama to me, and I highly recommend it. And like Sean said, I think it's the best like kiss goodbye to Netflix.
Yep.
What a way to close off that chapter.
All because they didn't do a second season of Midnight Club. All they had to do was, I mean, I'm not diminishing.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah, like that was like on the books, and then he did a whole thing. I feel like I saw this on fucking Twitter where it was like he's like, here's what would have happened, and he just went through everything that was going to happen because they own it, and they're not, I guess they like were like, oh yeah, we're gonna do second season, and like, yeah, we prefer not to, and like, just dude, give the guy, it's Flanagan, like, it's, you know what I mean? It's like it doesn't underperform. it's Flanagan, like it gets watched. It's not like it's
Mhm.
you know, and also it's I don't think from what I saw Midnight Club, it doesn't look like it's that expensive compared to the other stuff because
No,
it
it's
all
really
takes
not.
you know, it's like that fucking house and then like the woods around. I mean, I know there's more to it, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
it's really not like I don't know, was it like a power play? It's I'm sure there's, you know, nuances that we as the general public don't get. But
Mhm.
I just
I
feel
just
like
assumed it wasn't that great. It didn't do that well, so they were like, you know what? I'm
That's what
not
I thought.
gonna.
I mean maybe, but
And
I don't know, it's Netflix. Like does anything not do you know what I mean? I don't know. Like it doesn't see it's not like there's no ads. I mean, I guess now there is, but I can't imagine having it. I just can't imagine. Oh God, I can't imagine
I
it.
don't know. I see both sides of it. I kind of feel, and again, I know there's more behind it. Like, okay, Netflix, yeah, I'll just give it to him. But at the same time, it's like Flanagan, don't be a baby. Like sometimes shit doesn't work out. That's okay. Just roll with it. Just do your next thing. Because I know you got another thing brewing.
Yeah. I mean it's
And
probably
I just
also good.
oh, I just fucking hate Amazon, like with a passion.
Yeah. Well,
And I'm not gonna
I hate them both, but that's where we are, right? It's like I hate them, but I mean, I'm not going to not renew my Prime. And you know, I went a couple months without Netflix, but I'm back, and I'll probably be back for a while. So, I mean, we're just whatever. We're at the mercy of the Rodericks of the world.
Oh
They
God.
are our what's the fucking drug?
Monty. It's our Monty.
No, what's the actual
Oh.
uh
Ligadone. Ligadone.
Ligadone.
Lay it down.
They're it's our Ligadone. You know, I don't know.
And you're gonna snort it. And you're gonna like it and ask me for more.
Yeah, I'll be snorting some Copenhagen Cowboy before too long because I definitely want to rewatch that now that I have Netflix again.
I'm gonna snort lemons, especially if they're shaped they're genetically modified to look like tits.
Oh my God, that was great. Right,
That
Alina
lemon
Genetic.
speech was great. And I love that
So
whole, it's not gonna be cool. It's gonna be so lemon.
Yeah, Billie
Everything's
Eilish,
lemon.
lemon.
it's gonna be fire. It's gonna be
Hashtag lemon.
lemon.
Hashtag lemon.
I was
Well,
like, I'm gonna make out with this man so hard.
and he'd be like lemon.
That's so lemon.
Well,
I will have all the Liga down. Go for it.
on that note, we leave you with lemons. Do with them what you will. Write some genetic code. While you do that, for the Horror Vision Horror Podcast, I'm Sean.
I'm Froderick.
And I'm Missy.
A pandemic of violence floods the streets of major cities as cases of the media-dubbed murder virus, MV20, soar, causing those infected to go on killing sprees. Caught in the middle, police detective Angela Miller finds her only trustworthy ally in the self-proclaimed psychic PI, Gerald Henry. As the two try to navigate the violence, they are drawn into New Age guru Abramelin Harvest's plot to heal the planet. Harvest's missive?
The world is sick, and humanity is the infection.
The cure? Murder. From the twisted mind of Sean C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires and Shadow Play in Book 1, Kim and Jesse, comes his most vicious novel yet, Murder Virus. Available where books are sold.